China's latest AI breakthrough has leapfrogged the world.
I think we should take the development out of China very, very seriously.
This is China's education. It's produced some of the world's brightest minds and groundbreaking companies.
In 2020, Chinese scientists announced that their quantum computer
In just a
had
few
beat a
years,
record.
China has built this world-class fusion research campus from scratch, while the U.S. still wants
China rules the skies.
Take DeepSeek, for example. The recent disruptive player in AI hires 100% of its talent from Chinese universities. Or think about how Chinese students dominate international math and science competitions. But this is also China's education. It's a system where students face insane pressure, where college graduation no longer guarantees a job.
It's all lit up every night. Is that a factory?
No, it's a school.
What kind of school is open at 9:20 at night?
可能是个高中吧。
The kids are still there?
对。
Oh
我们
my-
有晚自习。
Oh my god. In high school, my high school ended at 2:20 p.m. We went home. When do they sleep? When do they...
Oh God, please no!
Youth unemployment in China hit a record high of over 20% in 2023. That's 1 in 5 young people struggling to find work. So, what's going on here? How can a system be so good at producing top talent, yet so brutal for everyone else? Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today, we're diving into a topic: how does China's education system really work? You've probably heard a lot about it. Some say it's the reason behind China's rise as a global powerhouse, while others call it a pressure cooker that's crushing students. But here's the thing, both sides are right. Let's break it down. China's education system is exam-based. It's not just about learning, it's about selection. The ultimate goal for every young Chinese is the Gaokao, which is China's college entrance exam that took place only once per year. This one test determines your future. It's like the Hunger Games, but with textbooks. There's a popular saying in China: a single point on the Gaokao can crush thousands of competitors. It perfectly captures how even the smallest difference in exam scores can decide whether you get into a top university or fade into obscurity. China's education system is divided into stages, and the first 9 years are mandatory. That's 6 years of primary school and 3 years of middle school. During this time, education is free and accessible to almost everyone. But here's where things get intense. After middle school, students have to take a high school entrance exam. This test determines whether you get into a good high school, a mediocre one, or no high school at all. And the competition is fierce. Since 2021, China has introduced something called the 5-5 split exam policy in many cities. Under this system, only half of middle school students can get into high school based on their exam scores. The other half are sent to vocational schools, which pretty much kills their chances of getting into a top university and limits their career options. Basically, if you don't prove yourself academically by age 15, your future is largely decided for you. Once you're in high school, the real grind begins. Students choose between a humanities or STEM track, but there's little flexibility to pick specific courses of interest. Everyone follows the same curriculum at the same difficulty level and pace. For 3 years, everything revolves around one goal: the Gaokao, China's college entrance exam. This is the ultimate test, a 2 to 3 day marathon covering Chinese, math, English, and either sciences or humanities, depending on your track. Your Gaokao score determines which university you can get into, or if you can go at all, because the exam dominates everything. Some schools enforce military-like discipline to maximize scores. It's common for Chinese high schools to operate on a grueling schedule, with some running from 7 a.m. to 10 p.m. and extra schoolworks on weekends. Students are pushed to their limits, and for some, it's too much to bear. Under these circumstances, in recent years, mental health issues and suicide attempts among middle and high school students are on the rise. Now, you might think this is a brutal way to run an education system, but here's the thing: the system isn't designed to educate everyone individually. It's designed to filter out the best of the best. Exam-based selection isn't new. Back in ancient times, the imperial exam was the only way for anyone, no matter their background, to move up in society and enter politics. In Chinese culture, people follow the knowledgeable, not the majority. Since ancient China didn't develop through business and trade like the West, exams became the main way to climb the social ladder. That's why, even today, higher education isn't just important, it's something people obsess over, from ordinary families to the country's elites. But how do you ensure that everyone gets a fair chance in this game? Fast forward to today, the college entrance exam is seen as that great equalizer. It gives everyone, rich or poor, a shot at changing their fate. Each province has its own version of the exam, and the difficulty varies widely. For example, students in eastern provinces like Jiangsu face some of the hardest exam papers because these provinces have the best education resources, while students in Xinjiang and Tibet have relatively easier exams. In fact, China even lowers score requirements for minority ethnic groups to level the playing field for students in remote areas with fewer resources. The college entrance exam papers are classified as top secret under China's national security system. In China, a cash transport truck getting robbed is seen as less of a security threat than stolen exam papers. The papers are transported under extreme security measures. Routes are pre-planned and tracked via GPS, and armed guards with live ammunition oversee the entire process. And that's where China's education system shines. It's a true meritocracy, especially in STEM. If you're good at math or science, this system will find you, even if you're from a poor family. Public K-12 education in China is affordable, often costing less than $100 a year. That's why you see so many brilliant scientists, researchers, and engineers coming out of China. But for most students, the system can be brutal. If you're not a STEM whiz, there aren't many options. Soft skills like leadership, public speaking, and creativity aren't systematically taught in most schools, except for a few elite ones that are tough to get into. As a result, millions of graduates spend years buried in textbooks, only to struggle finding jobs because they lack the skills employers actually need. Let's be real, most jobs don't require building rockets or spaceships, and real-world skills aren't learned by memorizing a textbook. A 1-point difference on an exam doesn't define someone's actual ability, but in China, it can decide your university ranking, which then impacts your entire career path. The pressure from Chinese parents can be huge, too. Most of today's middle and high school students' parents were born in the 70s and 80s, and they saw how education changed their lives. Back in 1977, only 4% of people who took the college entrance exam got in. Now, that number is over 70%. Having a college degree doesn't guarantee success anymore. Yet, parents continue to push their kids down the same path because it's all they know and the way they believe will help them replicate their own success. This obsession with degrees has created artificial unemployment. For instance, there are plenty of jobs in niche fields like nursing, physical therapy, and cultural relic restoration experts. But these jobs require technical training, not a college degree. And in China, vocational schools are still stigmatized. So many students avoid them, even if it means staying unemployed. Another problem with the exam-based system in China is the perfection mentality. Chinese education teaches you to avoid mistakes at all costs. The goal is to get a perfect score. But in the real world, innovation comes from trial and error. You can't innovate if you're afraid to make mistakes. So, here's the big picture. For a country of 1.4 billion people with huge regional disparities, the exam-based system is inevitable. But while the system is designed to be fair, it's also incredibly stressful. It ensures equality, but it also leaves behind those with talents that can't be measured by a test. The real question isn't about the exams, it's about what happens to the people who don't fit the mold. How do Chinese schools unlock their potential? That's the challenge China's education system still hasn't solved. Although traditional Confucian education values teaching based on each student's abilities, the scale of China's population makes it impossible for schools to give individual students the attention they need or to tailor education to their specific talents. But the change is on the way. China's birth rate is dropping, and kindergartens and primary schools are already closing or merging because there aren't enough students. The number of college graduates is also peaking. In 2024, 11.79 million students will graduate, and that number is expected to hit its peak around 2027 with 16.17 million before starting to decline. By 2045, when today's newborns graduate, that number is projected to drop to just 9.02 million. The younger generations born in the 2010s and 2020s will have more resources per student. Their future teachers, many of whom were born in the 90s and 2000s, are generally better educated, and parents from these generations are more relaxed because many of them have started to question the obsession with exams. Don't forget, it's the kids born in the 90s and 2000s who've suffered the most under the current hyper-competitive exam system. China's education system has its flaws, but it's also a product of its history and scale. The next decade will be about finding a balance between selection and education, between discipline and creativity. And who knows, maybe the next generation of Chinese students will be both brilliant and happy. Thanks for watching. What do you think about China's education system? Let me know in the comments below. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell. See you next time.